假如书籍会说话，今日对话，百年孤独。
Teacher, lonely. The 7 generations of the Bundia family all repeat their tragedies. Are we destined to be unable to escape the cycle of fate?
Fate is like the rainy season in Macondo, seemingly endless and cyclical. But remember, the code of the parchment is not a curse, but a mirror. You see destiny, while I see the reflection of choice.
But every generation of them is named Aureliano. Isn't the repetition of names a hint at an inescapable destiny?
What is repeated is the name, not the soul. When the 17th Aureliano understood the parable of the ice, he broke free from the chains of his name.
Are you referring to the ice fable where Jose Arcadio first encounters ice?
Indeed, when he said it is burning, the world laughed at his madness. But who saw that modern civilization was freezing our magical souls with the ice of rationality?
But the love brought by the yellow butterfly always ends in death, which is too despairing.
The bed sheets that Remedios the beauty clung to as she ascended. Amaranth's scorched hands, love has always been a dance in chains. But you'll see, it was only at the age of 126 that Ursula realized. Loneliness is not the opposite of love, but its rings of growth.
It's so contradictory that Ursula saw everything more clearly in her old age despite becoming blind. Eyes can deceive, and memories can be altered. It was only when she felt the passage of time with her skin that she realized Macondo had begun to erode from the moment she gave birth. What was that rain, which lasted for 4 years, 11 months, and 2 days, washing away?
What is being washed away is not blood, but memory. When the massacre by the Banana Company is diluted into legend by the rain, this is the most piercing loneliness, the loneliness of a whole nation's collective amnesia.
The scene where Rebecca eats the plaster off the walls is chilling. What does it symbolize?
Beneath the cement walls lie the ashes of my parents. In a world where antidepressants replace tears and consumerism fills the void, who among us is not another kind of wall leader?
Why was Melquiades' room of prophecies only revealed to Aureliano at the end?
Prophecy is never understood before the events unfold. The parchment is not a book of the future, but a belated confession when you live as your own footnote. The hurricane arrives.
You said that all glory ultimately ends up as parchment then. What is the meaning of our struggle?
Macondo was destined to disappear, but the little goldfish made by Ursula would not. The meaning lies not in what is built, but in how it reshapes the soul in the process.
Does the city now resemble Macondo? With the subways crowded with silent Jose Arcadios?
More absurd than Macondo. At least the gypsies brought magnets and telescopes, while we are actively removing the lenses that allow us to see the truth.
How can we break free from this modern loneliness?
First, acknowledge that the Bundia genes flow through your veins. When you say I am lonely, don't forget to follow it with so I will create.
But what after creation? Like Colonel Aureliano making little goldfish, only to melt them down and start over again? The glow of the melting gold illuminated his wrinkles. What mattered was not the little goldfish, but the dignity of negotiating with time during the creation process. Was Remedios' ascension a form of liberation? She was so beautiful, yet she didn't understand love.
When all the men in town were going crazy for her, she alone remained true to her simple ways. Sometimes, not understanding love is the highest form of loyalty to it.
The ending where the last child of the family is eaten by ants is too cruel.
What the ants consumed was not an infant, but the seeds of reincarnation. When the hurricane erased everything, the parchment finally fulfilled its mission to crystallize a century of solitude into poetry.
How then should we face the love and ideals that are destined to vanish?
To live like Melquiades after his third resurrection, knowing death is inevitable, yet still engraving stars on every cup.
I understand now why it's said that loneliness is the final resting place of memories.
For all the clamor will eventually fade. Only solitude, like ember, preserves the evidence of our existence.
One last question. If Macondo never existed,
Then our discussion at this very moment is the most perfect Macondo moment. Look, a yellow butterfly has just landed on your shoulder.